In this video we're going to learn about Google Slides page setup, about thinking ahead and choosing a page setup size that totally suits your end point. And in this video there will be an example slide which I'm using, a bit of yellow text and an Indian head test card. So ideal scenario for this one is, let's say a student or a work person or anybody else who's using Google Slides, including me, gets up at 10 o'clock, makes a new doc with the default settings, which by the way will be 960 by 540, and then works away happily, and at 3:30 they finish their day with 63 slides, and life is so wonderful. Then they take a break, they come back at 6 o'clock, they reread and they think about printing or downloading, and suddenly their download size is really small and blurry. Oh my goodness. 6:12 they change a load of page setup, and at that point it throws out all the formatting and they re-edit, and by 8 o'clock they finish up and they are super fed up and they've got their head in their hands, although they've done it. And that's why I've got a dotted line to success and, I don't know, wealth and academic prowess and all this windy meandering line that most of us feel, which goes on forever. So look, this is the deal, and I'm really making the video also out of self-discovery. And what that actually means is that Google Slides page setup, most of the time I use Google Slides over Google Drawings. That's because Slides has many copies. With Drawings you only get one copy. I can demonstrate that here with an example, and that merely means that on this particular Google drawing, if I want to change pretty much anything at all, then I have to go through and make another copy by File, Make a Copy. Where in Slides I can literally add as many slides as I wish to, and life is pretty wonderful as it goes. And for an example, you can see at the bottom here that there's that same slide, and if I wanted to wonder what a black border is like or an orange border, I can do it instantly, make more copies. I think I made that point, so let's work through why I've made this 1:7. So slides on screen on any size is fine, but the moment you print them is a problem. I'll show you what I mean. So here's a demo, and what that means is that this one here looks with a tree and a bit of formatting and 160 by 90. If I hit presentation, it looks like that, and everything's absolutely fine, not a problem at all. However, if I look at the page setup here and I look at how many pixels I've actually customarily set, is 160 by 90. So what that actually means, if I wanted to make a duplicate and download this file as a, I don't know, JPEG and re-upload it, what you actually get is something really obscure and blurry. And that means that if you go on there and you go, welcome to my talk, and they go, what is going on? We can't even read it. So that is the point about sizes. Let's carry on my little thing. So on screen, absolutely fine, you don't need to worry. The moment you download or print, that is the issue. Number 3, think ahead. I particularly use a 1920 by 1080, which is a default 16 by 9 ratio, widescreen format. The default on Google Slides, I've already said, is 960 by 540, which is a lot smaller. So you notice that's not even 1280 by 720 for a YouTube thumbnail. Remember that if you keep changing stuff with the page size, page setup, when you've got a ton of slides, the chances are that you're going to throw tons of formatting off and get annoyed with the whole life in general. Number 5, depending on what sizes you want to do, if you are downloading things like a YouTube thumbnail, as I've said, 1280 by 720 means that your default of 16 by 9 is too small. Right, number 6, my default on Slides page setup is about 1920 1080 because this suits me, particularly when I'm downloading JPEGs, to use in 1080p video editing. And number 7 on desktop is that when I screen record, if I'm going too quick by the way, just slow me down a bit on YouTube. Number 7, desktop screen recording for me personally, just like this, is 1366 by 768. I sometimes downsize to about 1280 by 720, suits me fine for short educational videos like this. So what does that really actually mean? Well, what it means is that if you do something top left super tiny and download it for printing or something, got a major problem if it's small. If you get something a lot bigger and you start at the outset on slide 1 with something like, I say, a 1920 by 1080 or something bigger, at least 1280 by 720, the chances are you will iron out future problems. So what does that actually mean generally? If you're in Google Slides and you want to download, then when you download, File, Download as a JPEG, a PNG or an SVG, then that means the current slide only downloads. All the rest, text, PDFs, etc. are the whole slideshow. So let's get back to it. It means that any size, and let me just check something, and that means that file, page setup, pixels, you'll notice that this is 1920 by 1080. So if I wanted to do something bigger, I would have to do this. In other words, anything up to 2,500 pixels will download exactly as is up to 2,500 pixels. Anything bigger than 2,500 pixels, then download it as an SVG, scalable vectorable graphic, or whatever it's called, and convert it using cloudconvert.com, which is also free. What that means in practice is that if you wanted to come along, and bear in mind I've done this triangle on the left with small to big, and that is if you were designing a YouTube channel art banner, which has got to be 2560 by 1440, doing the math and the obvious stuff, your 2,500 would be just 60 pixels short, so you need a different technique. Had enough so far? Of course you have. So in other words, that sometimes you end up with these tiny little things where really you want a lot bigger things, but not like that, because that one's blurry. I would say that Google Slides page setup, think ahead, choose a size that totally suits your endpoint, and life hopefully will mimic something looks like a dotted line up to the sky where we're all happy. Good luck with it.